Yeah. This is the Legacy League. Tell me what will your legacy be? Yeah.
Welcome back to the Massachusetts Postgame Show. Week 4 in the books, and we're going to basically just talk about it today. I got my boys DJ, Jack, and Jake with me today. Jake, welcome to the Massachusetts Postgame. Their first time on here. DJ, Jack, returning from last week and the week prior. I'm your host, Cade. We're going to get right into the action, but first and foremost, as always, shout out our sponsor, 110 Grill. We love them over here at Legacy Leagues. Yeah, we're just going to get right into it this week. Cut straight to it. B2A versus Reapers. All right, B2A took this one 86-72. Some would say this was an upset. B2A just lost Daraj, their big defensive guy, one of their biggest voices on defense and just on offense around. Their go-to guy, honestly, I would say. But they took down the Reapers this week. Some of us didn't think that was going to happen. DJ and Jack on the podcast, you guys doubted them a little bit. Jack. Actually, I think you might have said B2A might win, so we'll get back to that. But Shy Hicks led the way, 24 points for B2A. He's looking like a top scorer in this league. He's always in the either 1 or 2 spot for scoring. Anthony Cabrera missed last week, but he's back still on fire. I said he was on fire the first couple weeks, and he popped off again, 20 points, 4 steals. He was just a hound on defense. Amandi Weaver, 16 points. Giordano Neville, 15 points, 9 rebounds, 10 assists, 1 shy of a triple-double for rebounds there. And then Reapers, I don't know. That's 2 in a row. They've never lost more than 1 game in a season. So this is something to look at here, guys. Their 3rd season here. This 2 losses. It's never happened before for them. Isaac Lane led the way, 26 points, 11 rebounds. Kevin Views, 23 points. Yala Smith, 15 points, 8 rebounds. But wasn't enough for B2A, honestly. The Reapers did well on offense. I think it was just their defense that struggled. Reapers are known for their defense. But, DJ, we were talking last week about Reapers and how we were kind of surprised they lost last week. So are you even more surprised they lost this week? What's going on with the Reapers? Was this an upset? Let me know.
On paper, I'd see it as an upset, but coming off a loss last week, B2A really wanted to come back, wanted to push themselves up in the power rankings. So a win against the Reapers is really what they needed to help them out this early in the season. So I think the Reapers, they're still that same good team. They're going to be consistent every time. They might just be hitting a flat spot right now, and they're going to have to figure out what's going on so they can further make themselves better for the rest of the season.
Yeah, you guys weren't here last season, but they had Jay-Sean Edwards, who's on the squad, who's playing well this season. They had a point guard, Josh Mani, and another point guard, Carlos, who I think was runner-up to Defensive Player of the Year. Daraj won it last season, and Carlos was the runner-up. So the Reapers lost some key guys, and I think that's showing. They lost that defense from Carlos that he brought. He was like leading the team in rebounds, and he was the shortest guy I think in the league. He was super short, and he was leading in steals and rebounds on that team. He was definitely an impact on that Reapers defense, and we always talked about it. Reapers defense became a saying on our podcast, but it just hasn't transitioned into this season. But we got to give props to B2A stepping up without Daraj. Jake, do you kind of want to talk about that? What did they do well to kind of negate losing such a big impactful player like Daraj?
Yeah, so I think they did a lot of things well in this game, but one thing that they did extremely well was just bringing that energy. I think Anthony Cabrera was a main part of that. Every time he was on the floor, you knew he was on the floor, whether it was him being vocal or just him giving 110% effort on every single play. And I think a guy like that, it's contagious, and eventually everyone on the team just starts to play like him. So I think he definitely brought an energy, and I think just their all-around determination to play defense, that was huge. Because like you said, the Reapers, I mean, they could score at will, kind of, but you could tell that their defensive play and their offensive play, there's a difference, right? They weren't really bringing as much momentum, energy on the defensive side. And when it's that 4v4 quick transition game that we've seen, it can sometimes cost you. But it was a fun one to watch.
No, yeah, totally. Anthony Cabrera is one of the loudest guys in the league, and that's not a shot at him. He would he would take that as a compliment. You got to be loud on in basketball. Shout out play, shout out screens, talk on defense. You want a loud guy like Anthony leading the way, and sometimes he gets in the head of the guys he's playing against, and that's always a good thing too. So he's definitely taken a step up. No Daraj. Daraj has experience in this league, and it's definitely a hit for B2A, but hey, they beat one of the top teams in the league without him. So the future's looking bright for B2A, even though maybe last week it looked a little dim. But we'll move on to our next game, and our next game being Team ASAP versus FTG. And Team ASAP took this one by 14 points, 82-68 over FTG. Low scoring game for FTG. But for Team ASAP, Noah James led the way. I feel like I'm going to be saying that a lot. It seems he's leading the way every week for them. 30 points, and Joe Secator 17 points. And there weren't any like crazy impressive stat lines. It was just scoring from the Team ASAP. For FTG, Ethan led the way, 28 points. He had a triple double last week, and it was a bit of a step down performance-wise for him. Taking the loss doesn't help either. Coming off of the first win too. Shane Perico, 17 points. This was his biggest game of the season. He stepped up when they needed him. A few other guys didn't really. They were missing. I forget his name. Sorry, but they were missing one of the Denzel Lyles, I think his name is. They were missing him. He's one of their go-to guys on offense a lot. So maybe there would have been a different outcome here. 14 points isn't too much, especially in today's game when people are just shooting threes like crazy. So yeah, we'll go back to you, DJ, on this. We'll talk about Noah James. We usually talk about the teams, but just talk about Noah James. Why is he so successful in this league?
He's just like amazing to watch. He's a pure 2-level scorer. He can chuck it up from 3 whenever he wants. Shot 50%, went 3 for 6 last game, which is really good. Shot 75% from the field, so he's a real explosive player. He can really drive the hoop. Just all around, just complete scorer.
No, yeah, he too has experience. He plays in Rhode Island, like the day after Massachusetts, and he played in Rhode Island last season, winning Offensive Player of the Year. So he's got some experience in these hoops. Everyone on Team ASAP does. Maybe some of these newer guys for FTG just got to become more experienced, and we'll see that team fully develop later on. There's a lot of great talent on that team, and every team Ethan's on, it seems to be a Ethan-led team. So if he's having a bad night, the team might not be having a good night. I haven't really seen another guy step up past Ethan on any of his teams in the last couple seasons. So, yeah, I'll go Jack. You haven't said anything yet. I don't want to I know you weren't on these games, but I just don't want to ignore you here for the first like 10 minutes. But so Team ASAP, 4-0, but they haven't played A1, Reapers, or Run It Up. So do you think any of those teams stand a chance against ASAP, or are they just on a roll right now, or is no one gonna stop them?
I think A1 obviously stands a chance. We'll see about the Reapers. They've been struggling recently. But A1 definitely, I have them above ASAP still. But Joe Secator has been pretty good recently. He's really reining it in from 3, and it's getting hot at just the right time, and you love to see it.
And honestly, their lineups just vary based off who wants to play at what time. But I think if they get like a Noah James, Joe Secator, Kareem Cooper, and add another guy in there, and they just like playing against our team like Run Up or A1, they might want to keep a 4-man rotation in there. I'm kind of interested to see who steps up on Team ASAP and kind of locks in as a 4, because making those constant subs isn't always going to be the way to go. You want players to get hot, and they've kind of been letting Noah James take the reins on offense, but I know a guy like Joe Secator, he averaged 30 in Rhode Island. I know he can be more explosive on offense. So I'm still excited to see, Team ASAP versus one of these top teams we've been talking about. I think Reapers match up very well against them. Yala Smith is going to be a pain to guard for anyone on that team. So it's definitely an interesting thing to look at, based off of their first few games. But yeah, Team ASAP's on a roll. What can we say? They're all experienced guys. We saw that roster. We knew they were going to come out swinging, and that's what they've been doing. But shout out Noah James, definitely an player to look at for that MVP race. That's I think we're almost halfway through the season, so yeah, definitely keep an eye on that because season's coming up to an end. So someone's gonna win it, and he is leading the way so far. And we'll move on to our third game, that being A1 versus Top Dogs. And I know we joked around last week, Jack, DJ. We were talking about pick Top Dogs for the upset, but it was a lot closer than we thought it would be. That being said, we did not know that Cody Crawford was going to show up this week. He hasn't played yet, and if you don't know Cody Crawford, he is a 9-time champion. He's won 9 championships in Rhode Island, and with Lob City, he's broke plenty of records. I think he is second all-time leading record scoring in Legacy League. So Cody Crawford is not someone to mess around with, and A1 wasn't really expecting him, and he came out shooting 33 points for him, 5 rebounds, 5 assists. And then a new face for Top Dogs was Rashid Sanchez. I think he played for the Road Dogs last season in Rhode Island. He had 11 points, 3 made threes. When a team is 0-4, it's good to see a guy come in, and bring a level of scoring that he did, even if it's just 11 points. You like to see new guys showing up, maybe making a difference. I think Cody's definitely going to be here to make a difference for the Top Dogs. For A1, usual suspects here at the top. 28 points from Hendel, 26 from Darwin. Hendel had 9 rebounds, 6 assists, or 6 steals, sorry. And then Darwin had 12 rebounds, a double-double. Ricky Ortega, double-double for him, 12 points, 11 rebounds. And Angel Serrano, first game back. He played last season with A1, but he's back. He had 14 points, shot 7 for 8. He's one of our bigger guys, so it's good to see him getting his start this season. Nothing crazy to say here, but a weird coincidence. All these games have been 14-point differences. I don't know if y'all noticed that, but 14-point difference from these first 3 games. Kind of crazy coincidence, but anyways, yeah. Jack, I'll go to you. Talk about Top Dogs. Or Jake, I'll go to Jake. Sorry, not you, Jack. You'll wait. Jake, I'll go to you. Talk about Top Dogs. A team without a win, but they got a new guy in Cody Crawford. They're missing some other guys, so they didn't have a full team. They only had 5 guys, and Cody Crawford brings insane level of playmaking and scoring. Does he change up their play style? Are we going to see them win against one of these lower ranked teams? Talk about how a player can bring such a difference to a team, and how they held up for at least the first half against A1. So talk about that.
Yeah, no, definitely. So I know Cody from the Rhode Island League, and he's a guy when he steps on the court, instantly the game changes. When the ball's in his hand, when it's not, like he's a guy that dictates everything. And when the ball's in his hand, especially on offense, it's dangerous. He's a guy who's going to get all his teammates involved. But if he needs to, he can play that ISO game as well and just get a bucket pretty much whenever he wants. He's a threat from behind the 3-point line. He can make any kind of layup you want. He's a great driver. He drives with a lot of strength. But I think he's exactly what Top Dogs need, because it's tough to come in every week when you think you're going to lose. But now getting a guy like this, you could see the momentum kind of swing the other way.
Definitely going to keep an eye on Top Dogs, see how they develop with a leader. I think he could be their leader too. You got a leader coming in. He's led a team he's been with Lob City his whole career over in Rhode Island, and they're a team that has never changed. They've never changed their name. Their rosters stayed the same. So he's led that team. They've all stuck together. That's chemistry that he's helped build, and that's just a legacy guy. He's built his legacy here in Legacy Leagues, and yeah, I think Top Dogs could be seeing a new face for their team, and I think he could help them win a few games here. But before we move on from this one, Jack, talk about A1. It was a slow start, but that fourth quarter was like almost a 20-point difference. What did you see from A1 in that first quarter or first couple quarters that didn't really look well, didn't work well?
Yeah, just like they looked like they were going into it a little too complacent. Top dogs coming in winless. Obviously, Cody Crawford was kind of an unexpected addition at the last second, but they kind of took their foot off the gas a little bit in the first 3 quarters before, it was a 2-point game going into the fourth. And I was thinking maybe we'd see an upset, but then they turned it on in the fourth. But I just thought the defense on Cody Crawford could have been a lot better. I know he's an elite talent, but she seemed like when he was like really getting it going, they didn't really have an answer for him. And that's something they're going to need to clean up, especially against some of these better teams in the league. But I'm not really concerned overall about A1, given how many have they won in a row? Is it 15?
15, yeah, this was number
Yeah.
15.
Yeah, I'm not too concerned, but just some minor things, I guess, to clean up.
Yeah, we definitely came into this game not really thinking too much of the top dogs, I guess, as a threat. We knew they had shooters and they were going to hit their shots, but Cody was doing a lot more than just shooting threes. He was crashing to the rim, getting what he wanted down low, and our defense just really wasn't there when it came to Cody. And some switches here and there just didn't work, and we were trying different things on defense, but it was a bit of a mess of a game. But still, a 14-point win is not something to really complain about. But it definitely not the best performance from A1, but we almost had an entire full roster, so subs, everything was we were trying to make things work, see what we were going. We wanted to get Angel a few buckets right away. He hadn't played in a little bit, so we wanted to get that going. But yeah, definitely building as a team though. I think we'll be good. Tough games coming up though. We'll talk about those, and we'll move on to our last game, which was Run It Up versus the Squad. This one was not a 14-point difference. It was a much bigger difference. I think 24. So this was 87 for Run It Up, 63 for the Squad. Run It Up on a streak this season. They weren't too much of a threat last season, but the addition of Tack Gomes and Marcus Collins has really made this team a top team in this league. Tack Gomes, 25 points, 10 rebounds, 10 assists, and 6 steals. That's a crazy stat lineup right there. Sean Yard followed suit with 20 points, 8 rebounds, 7 steals. A few more here and there, he would be also having a triple-double. And then Marcus Collins, 19 points. This is a crazy big three. I'm not gonna lie. They Marcus Collins being their big man, Sean Yard being the guard, and then Tack Gomes kind of being that forward. This is like as prime example of a big three we can get in this legacy leagues. And they've been killing it so far. And when Tack Gomes is leading the way scoring, Sean Yard doesn't have to do as much scoring as he did last season. So it kind of just opens up their whole team for different opportunities of scoring and just all around taking it over on defense with those steals. So for the Squad, Musa led the way, 28 points. Marquise Smith had a double-double. A quiet night for Jay Sean. We usually don't see that. So just all around not a great night for the Squad. That Tack Gomes, Sean Yard presence on defense was just lethal. Turnover after turnover just led to Run It Up scores. So yeah. Jack, you are on this court, so I'll go right back to you. Just talk about that big three. Tack, Sean Yard, Marcus Collins. Talk about how that big three can continue to just make their presence known and get those wins.
Well, I really saw it from the defensive end the other night. You mentioned, Tack Gomes 6 steals and Sean Yard 7 steals. Also, Tack Gomes had 3 blocks in addition to that, and the Squad was kind of just turning it over a lot, but that was due to the pressure. The ball pressure was really good, and it was kind of a slow-paced game too. So that, there was 22 free throws shot. I think the Squad only had 30 points going into the third, and just all around the D was really good. And then that doesn't even bring up the scoring. 25 for Tack Gomes, 20 for Sean Yard, and 19 for Marcus Collins. So when you're getting those kind of scoring productions, it's just they're going to be really hard to beat, and I have high hopes for them.
Yeah, definitely a big three to keep an eye on. They're making their presence known. Run It Up is here to be one of these top teams, and they want championship just like the rest of them. And I think their post-game interview was hilarious this week. If you haven't seen it, check it out. But they talk about motivation, and they say they wake up motivated, they go to sleep motivated, they dream about being motivated. So that was a great interview. Go watch that one. Yeah, that wraps it up for this week's this week's games, and we'll move on to what we like to call our 110 grill question of the week. So yeah, shout out our sponsor 110 Grill. As seen on Phantom Gourmet, DJ and I looked it up. They are on Phantom Gourmet, and that food looks good. So give them a check out. Dinner, lunch, check them out. So our question of the week is, who do you see as Defensive Player of the Year so far? A lot of good options. Obviously with what happened to Daraj, he can't be. He's not coming back with that injury, but he was leading the way. Honestly, I think he's still leading the league in blocks, or he's number 2, which is crazy. He still is, and he hasn't played. Yeah, so I'll go right to DJ. Give me a player that you want to, give their flowers to for their defensive game.
Yeah, I'm gonna take your pick here. I'm going with Hendel. He just, with Daraj out, I think he's the clear front runner for it now. He's just always playing 100% on defense, always clamping people up. Just really a tough guy to get around if you're trying to score on him.
Yeah, that's my pick. I'm gonna stick with my guys there, Hendel. I'll talk more about him once these guys give their picks. But Jake, we'll go to you. Who do you got?
Yeah, so for my pick, I'm gonna go with Marcus Collins from Run It Up. I just think his paint presence on offense and defense is it's very impactful. You can't get a rebound or anything without having to go through him on either side of the floor. And I think he's just a guy that, when you play against him, you just get tired of it and he just kind of wears you down.
Yeah, that's also a player I have written down. He's definitely someone to keep an eye out. And Jack, we'll go right to you.
Might be kind of a dark horse. I'm gonna go with Tack Gomes. He's up to 15 steals on the season, and just watching him the other night, like I was saying earlier, just the ball pressure was. I mean, you could not get around him. And Hendel's obviously probably the front runner, but I just really like what I'm seeing from Tack Gomes, and I feel like it can only go up from here.
Yeah, the on-ball pests are in this league are Tack Gomes. I wrote down Sean Yard. He's, Tack Gomes obviously I think has made more of an impact. Same team. It's hard to, compare them because Sean Yard's also doing a great job. Anthony Cabrera on B2A also definitely gives anyone trouble that's trying to dribble against him. But yeah, DJ took my pick. I'm going with Hendel. I mean, stats don't always tell you how good somebody is on defense because Hendel is amazing on defense. Rarely see a blow by, if ever. But his stats are, also saying that he could be Defensive Player of the Year. I mean, he's averaging almost 3 steals. He's averaging over a block a game, and he only has 3 fouls across 4 games this season, which is crazy. He's averaging a block a game, and he only has 3 fouls and averaging 3 steals. So that's crazy. He's been saying it. I think the league kind of sees it. He's the guy to beat for Defensive Player of the Year so far. Those other guys are right up there, though. Also, Yala Smith, I think he's a great defender. Reapers need him to step up definitely on defense. Get that Reapers defense back and on top of this conversation we usually have. But yeah, I think that wraps it up for this week. Actually, quick, we'll go into next week's games, and I won't make you all pick your winners. I'll go game per game and pick you guys. Very, very interesting game here. We got Top Dogs versus the Squad. Both 0-4 looking for their first win. So someone's going to come out on top. If somebody just wants to shout out their winner, y'all can actually, we'll just go everyone. Tell me who you think's winning, GJ.
I got a Top Dog. No, not Top Dogs. Top Dogs. I think they
Top
found their
Dogs.
piece. They found their guy. Last week they lost because they played a team. It's 15 straight wins, so it's just unfortunate for them. But I think now they got their piece, and I think it's only going to go up for them from here.
If Cody's there, he's a problem. Jack, who do you got?
I'm going Top Dogs for the exact same reason. Cody Crawford just unstoppable. He's an elite finisher too, and I think a lot of people know him for his 3-point shooting, but he has some really tough finishes in A1's last game. And they played A1 really tough, and now they're playing a winless team and Two
Yeah.
hungry teams, though. It should be good.
Jake, who you got? Are you just crushing the squad's hopes right now?
I'm gonna have to crush their hope and go with top dogs for the same reasons.
I don't know. The squad. Oh, my camera got fuzzy for a second. What the hell? All right. The squad is a big team, and top dogs are a bit smaller, but 3-point shooting is lethal, so it could go either way for me. Then our next game, A1 versus Reapers. Of course, I'm picking A1. DJ, y'all can just say the people. You don't even gotta give me a reason.
Yeah,
Just
I
give me
got
the
A1.
name. A1. Jack.
Yeah, probably A1.
Jake.
Give me the Reapers in a bounce back.
All right, I'm gonna take note of that, Jake. I'm gonna take note of that. And then our next one, FTG B2A. I think this is also a really good game. So DJ, who you got? This is a tougher one to pick.
I got B2A.
Jack.
I got FTG.
Jake.
B2A for me.
To make it even, I'll say FTG. So they can't get mad at anyone because we all picked evenly. And then our final game, Run It Up versus Team. Wait. Yeah, Run It Up versus Team ASAP. That is a crazy game. I would love to see a Run It Up upset. I'll just say it right now. Run It Up upset would be crazy. I think Tack Gomes can go off. I think Sean Yard can go off. DJ, who you got?
I got Team ASAP. They're also my championship pick as of right now, so I got to go with them.
Yeah. Jack.
I'm really liking Run It Up after last week. I'm going to take them again.
Jake, who you got?
Yeah, I hate going against Noah James because he's my favorite player, but I'm gonna go Run It Up.
Yeah. I think this is definitely the game of the week. I think it's a very interesting one. But all the games are honestly really good this week. So exciting week ahead of us, week 5. We'll see you all in the next one. Yeah, shout out DJ, Jack, Jake. Thanks for joining me. I'm your host, Cade. We'll see you guys in the next episode.